Hi guys, today I have only one topic, but that one was user submitted. I found to be very interesting because things like these will get more and more important, especially in the US. It is all about locked phones, carrier switches, and all that. He asks about how things behave in Europe, but I would also like to know if you are from somewhere else in Europe than Germany. Let us know your input because he and I would really like to know how things behave in other countries. If you think it works way better than in the US or in Germany, in Europe in general. So I won't read out the whole questions because I did this video a few times already and will get way too long, and that's why I will just get to his questions himself. I did write them out. So the first question he has, it is from Greg Sanders. He wants to know, is it easy to change carriers? Here in Germany, at least that's what I can tell you, it is absolutely no problem. We don't really have locked phones. The only phones that are locked are like burner phones or really dumb phones that cost maybe like $20 or euros and come with a prepaid SIM. Otherwise, pretty much everything else you buy, if it starts at let's say 50 euros, it is unlocked. But you can buy every phone unlocked. That is no problem, not at all. If it's a flagship, you can use it wherever you want to, on any carrier you want to, and it doesn't matter even if you got the phone on contract from one carrier. You can use it still with a SIM card of another carrier. No problems here at all, no restrictions. The next question was, are certain carriers better than others? The thing is, we have four carriers here, the four major ones, the four only ones. We have Vodafone, we have T-Mobile, O2, and E+. From what I right now know, E Plus and O2 are merging. O2 bought E Plus, so these two lines will emerge. Are there better ones? It is like for you here in the US, a little bit of a regional thing as well, but not that bad. There are certain regions where O2 works better, there are certain regions where Vodafone works better, but in general, you can still use all four everywhere. It mostly depends on phone call quality. The data reception is pretty much the same in everything, so you don't have to bother about that either. Also a big plus, I think, compared to the US. Then he says Europe seems to get better service prices, but they get the better deals in the US for phones. This is something that I can't really say so much about because here in Germany there are tons of different variations how you get your phone and your service. We have draw contracts. This means you pay for the contract but never use it just to get the phone very cheap. This one is a really popular solution if you just want the phone for cheap but get your own contract if you have something already cheap like a prepaid contract or so. If you want though a lot of gigabytes and you want a flagship, then a contract makes sense, and then you pay everything from about 30 euros to maybe 80 euros. Pay nothing for the phone though. This is something that usually doesn't work so well. No one really would like to pay 1 or 200 euros plus the contract price. So they pretty much put it already and you pay more for a monthly basis. This makes it, at least here in Germany, feel the people like they pay less. But there are still solutions where you pay like 50, 60 euros and then pay every month like 50. So there are tons of variations because even though we have only four carriers, there are resellers that allow you way better contracts. They even are cheaper than the carriers itself because they get some kind of bonuses. I don't know quite how it works out for them, but especially, for example, late of the year, they have to fulfill an amount of contracts they have, and then they give the phones for really cheap just to sell their contracts to fulfill and get their bonuses. This seems to be worth it for them. So this is the best time late in the year, like October, November, December, where you can get a phone for really cheap and most probably don't even use the contract ever. Early in the year though, you can get contracts quite cheap, but then it's best to use your own phone. So what I would say how it works, if you want a cheap phone and you want prepaid, the best solution is to buy something on your own and use a prepaid contract. But if you want a lot of gigabytes and you want a flagship, then a contract makes sense because we also have things like Jump here, something similar where you pay like 50 euros, you get 3 gigabytes of LTE and you can upgrade your phone every year and keep the old one. That is all there. So there are tons of variations and getting through all of that would take way too long. The next question is VAT all across Europe or does it differ from country to country? Yes, it completely differs. Here in Germany, it's 19%. I think, like for example, Croatia, it's 21%. There are even regions with, I think, 25%. I think the lowest by now is somewhere at maybe 16. So I would say the average is about 20%, which is a lot more than in the US. But yeah, it's like this. Therefore, like for example, things like food have only 7%, so they differ here. So I think that pretty much answers it. Like I said, the more gigs you want, the higher speeds you want, and the better phone you want, then a contract makes sense, and then we get closer to your prices, I guess. But if you want just a cheap phone with a reasonable contract, like let's say a gigabyte of LTE and 200 minutes of calling, then I think we are at an advantage, because the great thing here in Germany, we have choice. You can use every carrier, you can use every reseller, you can use it however you want to, with whatever you want to, but it can be a bit complicated, so you have to really search a lot. You can't, because from what I see, you sometimes have only one choice and then have to stick with it, and that's what it is. But here the choice is yours, but it can be complicated, and in if you do it everything right, it is definitely cheaper, both for the phone and for the contract. But like I said, let me please know how it works in your country, somewhere in Europe or somewhere else. Is it better than in the US? Is it better than in Europe? What's the best solution? What will you think? Because I think it will become very important in the US, because everyone wants to go away from those locked phones, because this is really a big problem in the US, something I don't see having a lot of countries other than the US. So I hope that answers it. Please give me your input to help us all. Okay, until next time, bye.